Hey team, George here. I appreciate your hard work, dedication, and effort that you put into the first 2 weeks of our course. And now we're diving into leadership in counseling. So today, as we dive into this, remember that it's one of the most important yet underdeveloped dimensions of group counseling, and that's leadership. So, whether you're facilitating a support group, psychoeducational workshop, or a therapy process group, the leadership choices you make shape everything. Everything from group cohesion, ethical integrity. Remember, we discussed the norms before. Leadership means you have the responsibility. You don't have the control. We would love to have that perfect control, but we have the responsibility and influence over the group. So we're going to explore what it means to lead well in a multicultural, ethically grounded, and therapeutically sound group counseling sessions, and what that really means to each individual, because we're each going to take something different away from this. And here's how we're going to do it. We're going to focus on leadership styles. And remember, leadership styles, it doesn't mean that one is better than the other, just your authenticity. And then whatever your strengths are, go to your strengths and use them well. We're going to discuss that a bit. The role as a facilitator, because remember, you don't control, but you influence. So you're a facilitator. And just like any team you're leading, you don't have total control. So anytime there's other humans involved, we do not have control. We have influence. So our cultural responsiveness, identity awareness, problematic behaviors, and ethics and competence. So let's dig into leadership styles. And remember, leadership style is the lens through which every group interaction is filtered. So that's how you see everything. So in group counseling, the style you choose impacts the group's tone, safety, level of engagement. So you directly affect that. So authoritative leaders, they offer structure and clarity, which can be helpful in psychoeducational groups. So remember, no one style is better than the other. Let's go to our strengths, right? Facilitative leaders focus on process and participation, ideal for therapy or support groups. Democratic leaders, they emphasize shared ownership of the group, inviting collaboration. But the thing is, leadership does not live in a vacuum, as we know. Just like a good plan, when you put a good plan out, your plan's probably going to fail if you don't make minor adjustments along the way, because every time we do something, we're going to receive feedback or data that we did not have before. So that allows us to make those adjustments. So never be afraid to adjust. So, and part of that is it's shaped by the cultural and personal experiences of both you as a leader, the counselor, and the group members. So you're going to be constantly getting that data back. So adjust as you get that data back and become better and better and better. So for example, here's an example. So in some cultures, direct confrontation is seen as disrespectful. So a facilitative leader who pushes open sharing too early might unintentionally create resistance. So cultural attunement helps you adapt. So if you're that facilitative leader and you start pushing open sharing and nothing's coming back to you, it's just like whoop, walls are coming up. You have to be attuned to that. So use your skills to really tune into that and then make adjustments along the way. And here's a key statistic. Sorry. 85% of effective group facilitation depends on the facilitator. So that's a powerful reminder that your presence, tone, empathy, and responsiveness matter just as much as your clinical skills. So remember that. So yes, you want your clinical skills, but you also have to be that leader that creates the environment where people are open to sharing whatever we want to do in the group. So your job isn't just to teach or guide, it's to cultivate safety. We've discussed psychological safety and connection. So how you model vulnerability and regulation sets the tone for everybody. And if you want people to be vulnerable, you have to have a level of vulnerability, right? It doesn't mean that you're going to be that open. You're just going to open up and everything is going to flood out of your experiences. But you have to pick and choose and learn where to be vulnerable so you can role model that vulnerability. So cultural awareness. So 75% of clients in a few studies have shown that clients report better engagement when facilitators are culturally responsive. And a lot of times, let's face it, when we think of cultural competence and responsiveness, it comes down to food, right? I love good food. And I was stationed in the Philippines for many years, and I thought the food there was absolutely amazing. But that's not the culture. That's the food, right? So being culturally responsive means more than acknowledging holidays or food. It literally means understanding the worldviews and communication norms of your group members. We just had an example back where some groups, some cultures see confrontation or see that opening up and being confrontational as disrespectful. And be aware of your own cultural norms, because you have cultural norms. We all do. And you want to adjust your leadership to promote equity and inclusion. Remember, the first stage of psychological safety is inclusion safety. And remember, when you are a leader, every time you take an action, you're getting data back, you're getting feedback of some type. It may not be verbal, it may just be body language or people closing down. You have to be able to adjust as the group goes. So you need to really you need to have a good EQ, intelligence, emotional intelligence, and tune in to what's happening. Figure out what the feedback is, and then adjust your leadership to better create that environment of equity and inclusion. And so, let's say, for example, a client from a collectivist culture may defer to group consensus even when they disagree. And we've seen that even in individual cultures where people can kind of conform to the norm. And you see that in the old elevator study where somebody walks in an elevator and everybody's facing the back, and that individual, because of that pressure, turns to the back, right? So you want to be able to recognize when this is happening and help gently draw out that individual's voice without causing discomfort. And identity awareness is huge. Both your identity awareness and your clients because both shape the groups. We have a lot of different identities. And just because uh, somebody may look similar to you doesn't mean that they have the same identity. They have a different identity awareness. It happens all the time. So think about visible and invisible identities. So you have race, gender, age, um, abilities, religion, sexual orientation, and a whole bunch more. And the more attuned you are to these identities, the more effectively you can support collaboration, engagement, and emotional safety, because no one person is just that one piece of their identity. So, one thing that you can do at the beginning of a group, create space for self-identification and storytelling. So, storytelling, as humans, we love storytelling. We really do. So, when we give that space, it gives us the ability to build trust, and it begins to flatten out any power imbalances that may be happening within the team. So stories are a great way to do that. And remember, as a facilitator, as the leader of the group, you have to be able to create that space and then protect that space for everyone, so nobody's overtaking that space and taking up all the time or all of the energy from the room. So, what happens when a group member disrupts the process, interrupts, withdraws, dominates, or acts out? Well, leadership, you have to lead with courage. You have to lead with compassion. Um, You have an ethical and moral responsibility to both the individual and the group. So that's a dichotomy happening right there. Everything in life is a dichotomy, right? So here's how to respond. So stay grounded in the group norms and goals. You've established those in the very beginning. Stay grounded in those. Then reflect behavior without shaming. So I noticed that when so and so was sharing, there was a shift in the group. Can we talk about what just happened? So it's not about the individual. It's about, hey, something happened. There was a shift. The focus is on the shift. So if needed, follow up individually to process deeper dynamics if you have to. And culturally competent leaders also consider what's beneath the behavior. Is it resistance? Is it trauma? Is it cultural discomfort? So we have all these things happening. So we just want to be attuned, and we don't have to know everything. It's not our job to know everything, but it is our job to create that space where we can get it out and talk about it. So, ethics guide effective and inclusive group counseling. Leadership that ignores cultural context risks perpetuating harm, alienating people, and leadership that centers equity, humility. That humility is even a leadership value within the Army, if you can believe that. So, humility is incredibly important along all aspects of leadership. And if it's centered on equity, humility, and ethics, that opens the door to create these transformations that we're looking for. So regularly ask yourself, who's being heard in the group? Who's silent and why? How might my leadership be influencing the group dynamic for better or for worse? And leadership in counseling, one thing that we really have to remember is it isn't about control, it's about creating space where healing can happen.